I've now had Franklin for just about 2 years, a little over 2 years. I got him in November 2016, so now it's December 2018. The newest addition to my reptiles, so I can go ahead and take him out. You might be able to guess what he is, because one, he's in the frame. So I'm a few weeks late, but close enough. That means that he is now a 12-year-old turtle. They live, a long time, just about the same as humans. So he's still pretty old though, like older than a lot of you watching this video. But yeah, if you didn't know, this is my turtle that has gone through a lot of changes, like just about him, his diet, his enclosure, the houses he's lived in. So I want to basically just give you like a full rundown of how his life has been the past 2 years. So yeah, whether you already know about Franklin or if you're new here, hopefully you can enjoy and learn some stuff about him, or just turtles in general. And he's being surprisingly calm right now. But also one of the things I want to talk about is whether I think he misses free roaming. If you didn't know, he was like an experiment, kind of. I wanted to see what it would be like to give a turtle full access to basically an entire house. And whether he would like bask himself, soak himself, or like get water and everything. And he definitely enjoyed it, and it worked, kind of, but there was a lot of pee in the carpet. His shell rot-wise did not do very well. He was not basking very much, so any future development would not have gone super well. But I also covered that in the past video. We'll get to that in a little bit though. I forgot who told me about it, but somebody said like, hey, this person has a turtle and they want to rehome it, so I was like, okay. At the time I did not have many reptiles, and I don't know if I had any turtles. It was definitely my first aquatic animal though. So that was pretty exciting. He was living in a 20-gallon, no basking, no heating, no UVB. However, during the summer he had a little baby pool and he would sit on their porch on this like little log in the sun. So I think that's the only thing that saved him from having like crippling lifelong pain and suffering. So if you look at his shell, you can see it's lumpy, it has weird bumps and weird little holes in it. So now let him hang out. So it's certainly not perfect, it's far from perfect. Actually, I'm gonna pick him up one more time because I'll try and get a close-up. Usually, radiator slider shells, right on the front, they'll kind of go upwards near the head, but Franklin's goes downwards. So if anything like catches him by surprise or scares him, and he very quickly puts his head in, which he's not gonna do because he's too comfortable with me. If anything, he's just gonna bite me. But basically, if he pulls his head in too fast, he actually hits the top of his skull on the top of the shell because it did not develop properly in his first 10 years of life. Sometimes to the point that he actually ended up getting like cuts on his head. But luckily, he's really never scared anymore, so it's fine. So he went from a 20-gallon in the winter or cool months, and then in a baby pool in the warmer months. I got him, I just kept him in the baby pool indoors with the heating and everything, and I did some very vigorous, I treated his shell rot. And I actually did a video on that, on like how to treat shell rot and everything, so you can really see his transformation there. Because on like all the front of his shell was just completely rotted out, most of the bottom, a lot on the back, basically just everywhere. It was worse like right up on the front. So there was also a lot of algae, but algae's not dangerous. So over a number of months or maybe just weeks, that healed up pretty well, and it was basically gone. But then I had the idea of letting him like come out more, because what I had been doing is each night I would like take him out of the enclosure, let him just hang out and walk around, and sometimes he would like sleep under my bed for a couple hours. And I was like, well, what if I just let him always do this? So I built him a ramp. I also did a video on this. I've done a lot of videos on him. And the ramp worked really well. He was able to get up and down it. He would bask when he wanted. He would get in the water when he wanted, and he could just walk around the room. I'll get on to why you shouldn't do this soon. But basically, even though he was loving it and I never lost him, I just had to like turtle-proof the room, make sure there are no cords or anything sharp or whatever. But the UVB, like I said, was not good, and the shell rot ended up coming back in different places, mostly on the lower back instead of the upper back part of the shell, or upper front, I guess. And so I was like, well, this is not going well, but I'm also moving soon, so I shouldn't get a new enclosure yet. And then we ended up moving to a rental house in between two other houses, so now we're on to like his third home or something, because the previous owners had him in a house, and then whoever they got him from had him in a house. So we're 4 houses in now in a rental, and he still can leave the enclosure, but again, the shell rot is not great, so I started spoiling him too much. This was when I started doing school from home instead of going to school, so basically since I was in the room all day, he could be out and he would love to like sit on your feet for some reason, or sit on you however he can. So I would bring all of his heating and stuff over to him, so he would have UVB and his CHE just like right on him. So that's like, I don't know, that's like the definition of being spoiled, I think. So then he was basking, but only because the basking stuff was following him. But that was working. Actually, his shell he did continue to heal up, but it wasn't like perfect yet. And then I started sleeping on the floor. I still sleep on the floor. I might do a video on why I sleep on the floor. So he would literally just climb on me every night, and I would wake up to Franklin on me, and then he started peeing on me. So I would wake up sometimes covered in urine. At least it wasn't my own urine. I don't know if that's better. It was disgusting, so I stopped that. I ended up blocking him off because I was like, this is really gross and not sanitary at all. It's so awkward to talk about that. So then he was blocked into an area, so he was really kind of forced to bask. And then we moved again after 9 months into this current house. And he was in the pool for like a couple months, maybe like a month. And finally, I was like, time to stop the free roaming all for good. And I got him this. Now, this looked nicer because it originally had bamboo on the front, but I got like really thin bamboo. I didn't like it. So I'm gonna get like some larger stalks to kind of like cover it. So that'll be soon. But he's went from a 20 aquarium to a baby pool, which was about 30 gallons, and now to this 180 gallon, I think it is. I really was kind of worried that he would like miss free roaming and that he would like constantly scratch on the side trying to get out or whatever. Nope, he's fine. He literally has not shown any signs of caring whatsoever. He is out right now, so sometimes like once or twice a week I'll let him walk around the room for like 20 minutes to an hour or two if I'm in here. But other than that, he's in this full time, and he basks 12 to 14 hours a day like he should. He swims around at night, falls asleep. Obviously he eats and everything, and he's still pretty active and takes advantage of just about every square inch of this enclosure. Actually, the baby pool, it was so shallow that he had never experienced deep water before. So for like I think a couple weeks in this, he would just stay right at the surface, and he was like scared to go down almost. But eventually I like started putting food like at the bottom, so he would have to go get it. And then he was like, oh, I can swim like in 3 dimensions, not just 2. So that was cool. And the very best part of all this, other than the fact that the carpet's not urine covered and that I'm not urine covered, is the fact that his shell rot is perfect now. I didn't even have to treat it this time. It all just healed up completely on its own. He also shed recently. All of his scoots came off like a month ago or something. So that really helped get the last little bits off, and now his shell is looking pretty fabulous, other than the fact that it's gonna forever be lumpy because the original owners didn't know what UVB is. Also, side note, just while I'm looking at him, yes, he is a red ear slider. Stop telling me he's not a red ear slider. He has very dim, like dull red ears, but all turtles lose their color over time. But a lot of times they will keep more than that. So he is a red ear. Stop telling me that. Also, stop telling me he's female. I know how to sex a red ear slider. He's a dude. Okay. Anyway, moving on. What else? So yeah, I'm hoping this is his forever home. I'll continue to fancy it up. The basking spot on there actually kind of like failed for a couple weeks. I was holding it up with suction cups, but they kind of just gave out over time. So now it's being held with a piece of bamboo and some string, but it's working. It looks a little ghetto, but it's fine. Next up, his diet. Oh yeah. So his original diet was Cheerios and raw chicken for a long time. Not by me, by the other people. So getting him to eat actual food. They gave me a thing of turtle pellets. It was like full, and it looked like it was probably 10 years old. So I'm guessing they like bought that like when they got him, and then they just like never fed him anything other than random scraps of food. Which also, the kids in that house, they're like grown up now. I think they're older than me, but when they first got him, they probably just like threw scraps of food in just for fun, because yay, it's a little family turtle. I had to use cereal to get him to start eating other food. He would eat his cereal, and I couldn't get him to eat pellets. I couldn't get him to eat shrimp. The only thing I could get him to eat, he wouldn't eat any veggies, fruits, whatever. He would only eat mealworms, so that's better. So for about 2 to 4 weeks, he was living off mealworms and a little bit of cereal. And then I started, I kept mixing in pellets, and over time he would accidentally bite a pellet, and then he finally learned, hey, they're actually edible. But from there, then he started eating shrimp. I could get rid of the mealworms and cereal. Still some insects, just like for fun and because it's a nice little variety. But then he still would not eat any vegetables, any fruits, or any plants whatsoever. like some people do just feed their turtles, aquatic turtles, just pellets, but it's really nice to have a variety, especially since they have vitamins, but not like as many as you'd like. And it's only been about 6 months that he's eaten plants. I tried them like at least a few times a month, probably a couple times a week for like a year. It was like strawberries, carrots, every leaf on earth. I think I tried like apple, grapes, blueberries, and he would bite them and just spit them out immediately. But I have no idea what changed. Or I might actually. I started breeding duckweed, and he did eat the duckweed, and that was finally a plant that he liked. So then once he started eating duckweed, then I started giving him other leaves, like dandelion greens, collards, kale, and stuff, and now he eats just about anything. So it makes me feel much better. His shell is looking good. He actually eats food that isn't cereal. And so he gets his pellets, his dried shrimp, and he does still get insects. He loves dubias and stuff. I fed him a rodent once, and I still need to edit that video because that was disgusting. But he ate a full mouse, and now he does eat vegetables when he needs them. So what do we got covered? We got basking covered, free roaming covered, diet covered. I'm trying to think what else has changed about him. Well, I keep like flexing the fact that he is now basically one of the most famous turtles on Earth. I mean, that's just fun to say. At least most famous slider, he's up there. So it's like a completely unnecessary fact that really doesn't matter, but I don't know. I just think it's funny that so many people know who he is. He's even on his own merchandise, come on. They're sold out, but I think we do need more Franklin stuff in the future. He's almost like paid me rent just by like being on merchandise, because then that kind of like helps cover his stuff. So thanks for paying rent. You're better than me. Other than that, even though Franklin is not at my feet every second, he's still around me a lot, and I still give him probably the most attention out of just about any animal. I give the other turtles a lot of attention too, but he's kind of one of my favorites. He might be the favorite in the room, I'm not sure. I know he's a lot of your favorite. He also, I think, of all the reptile fan pages on Instagram, Franklin might have the most followers. And so right now he's covered in like white calcium because he's been out of the water so long because he was basking all day. But yeah, there's that. That's the story of Franklin, our little 12-year-old boy. Oh, I forgot to mention his name was originally Spiky, if anyone cares. So from rags to riches, from Spiky to Franklin, from a 20-gallon to 180-gallon, that's his story. I'm sure he'll continue to show up in content because he's really fun to shoot. He's really easy to record, and it's a very versatile animal to make videos on. But if you want to see more pictures, you can follow on Instagram. If you want some merchandise, the only thing with Franklin on it is posters. Also calendars. I forgot calendars are still available, and Franklin's in it. So you should buy it. Free USA shipping. Almost Christmas, so this is like the last time you can buy before to ensure it gets there in time. And I'll sell these probably through like the first couple weeks of January, and then I think these designs might be disappearing. But that's Franklin. Some of your favorites. Let me know who else you want to see, I don't know, like highlights on or rundowns on. But this was like story time with the Frankie boy. He's now climbing on my legs. So there we go. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching. Stay cold. Ow!